Welcome back, J.J. Abrams, on the Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker. Episode 8 didn't derail anything, apparently. What? Really? Come on now. Behave, J.J. Abrams. Jar Jar Abrams. Very surprising news. I'm fairly certain, and I tried to find it, doing some searches and stuff, that J.J. Abrams has made some comments in the past, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm fairly certain he made some comments in the past about how Rian Johnson had taken things in a direction which he hadn't actually planned. And also, this implies that they had like some grand master plan. But we know for a fact that he kind of set something up, but there was no actual plan, and Star Wars, Lucasfilm, Kathleen Kennedy, Disney just allowed each director to do whatever they want. So I'm a bit surprised by this news, but we'll get into it. We'll explore it together. J.J. Abrams appeared at Disney's D23 Expo to promote the upcoming Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker film, where he revealed that Rian Johnson's Last Jedi didn't really derail anything. It's very diplomatic of you, Jar Jar. So Abrams spoke to Entertainment Tonight Canada, where he discussed the rise of Skywalker. Don't worry, I'm not going to do it again. He stated, the story that we're telling, the story that we started to conceive when we did The Force Awakens, was allowed to continue. Episode 8 didn't really derail anything that we were thinking about. Okay. Abrams would go on to discuss the fun of The Rise of Skywalker. But I will say, the fun of this movie is that these characters are all together on this adventure as a group. That's the thing I was most excited about. I see the dynamic between these characters that these amazing actors play on this desperate seat of your pants adventure. That to me was the thing that was the most fun, having the group together. So, yeah, listen to this then. Abrams had previously told Vanity Fair that he was taking a much different approach to The Rise of Skywalker than he did The Force Awakens. He said, "F it, I'm going to do the thing that feels right." Does sound a bit like a contradiction. Working on 9, I found myself approaching it slightly differently, which is to say that, on 7, I felt beholden to Star Wars in a way that was interesting. I was doing what, to the best of my ability, I felt Star Wars should be. It felt slightly more renegade. It felt slightly more like, F it. I'm going to do I'm going to do the thing that feels right because it does, not because it adheres to something. So, of note, Abrams was not supposed to direct The Rise of Skywalker. He came on board the project back in September 2017 after Lucasfilm parted ways with Colin Trevorrow, who was originally supposed to direct Episode 9. Abrams' comments are even more interesting, given what Rian Johnson and Daisy Ridley have stated concerning the creative process of this new Star Wars trilogy. So, The Last Jedi director Rian Johnson previously described Abrams' role in The Last Jedi as... he was really gracious in just stepping back and giving us a blank slate. Didn't really derail anything. Blank slate. Am I having another aneurysm? Does this sound like a contradiction? By giving us a blank slate to work with. The starting point was the Force Awakens script, which is quite a big, expansive, wonderful starting point. In that way, we are drawing directly from his work, but from that point forward, it was a blank canvas. So you mean to tell me, Jar Jar Abrams, that Rian Johnson just miraculously took forward what you wanted? Really? I struggle to believe that, good sir. This sounds like PR spin to me. Good sir doth have lied. Like, seriously, mate. Actress Daisy Ridley, who plays Rey, revealed her take on the continuity between films in a French interview. Here's what I think I know. J.J. Abrams wrote episode 7, as well as... My Roman numerals was terrible then. Wrote episode 7, as well as drafts for 8 and 9. Then Rian Johnson arrived and wrote The Last Jedi entirely. Didn't really derail anything. Especially as well, bearing in mind, ladies and gents, The Rise of Skywalker apparently doesn't have any meaning. Kathleen Kennedy and J.J. Abrams were like, yeah, it just feels right. Feels like that's what this movie should be called. Fucking what? Right, anyway. I believe there was some sort of general consensus on the main lines of the trilogy, but apart from that, every director writes and realises his film in his own way. Rian Johnson and J.J. Abrams met to discuss all of this, although episode 9 is still his very own work. I believe Rian didn't keep... No, 8, sorry. I believe Rian didn't keep anything from the first draft of episode 8. So he didn't keep anything! I believe Rian didn't keep anything. Spin. We know that they've... This goes back to the video I did earlier, which I'll leave linked up here. Is that they were all balls ahead, right? When The Force Awakens dropped, and they took $2 billion, they were like, yes, we can literally do anything we want. We're just going to shit money for Star Wars now. So good. Same with Rogue One. People were just like, no, I don't need to listen to you guys. I don't need to do this. Force is female. And now they're like, oh no, it didn't really derail anything. We love criticism. Because that's my earlier video is Kathleen Kennedy saying she likes criticism. All feedback, even criticism. No, you don't. No, you don't. Not at all. This goes back to exactly that. It's exactly the same thing. How times have changed in literally 3 years. Because Rogue One was out in 2016, if I remember rightly. From there to now, the comments are just such a double take. Like, it's literally a 360 twist. It's amazing. It is amazing. One has to imagine that Abrams believed he was done with Star Wars following The Force Awakens. He reportedly gave Johnson a blank slate to work with, and Trevorrow was supposed to pick up the pieces following The Last Jedi. God, can you imagine being the person that follows The Last Jedi? Especially Colin Trevorrow, relatively up-and-comer. My God. Now Abrams is claiming he's continuing the story he had outlined since The Force Awakens. It's kind of hard to believe, especially if Johnson threw out the first draft of Episode 8 and didn't use any of Abrams' notes. It's possible Abrams might ignore Johnson's The Last Jedi in The Rise of Skywalker, similar to how he ignored pretty much all of Star Wars canon in The Last Jedi. Oh, I'll scroll down a bit too far then. Throwing some shade, I love it. It's also possible Abrams might be trying to pay lip service to the idea that Lucasfilm and Disney had a plan altogether, despite all the statements to the contrary. But we know there's not been a plan. We know there's no plan between each movie. They've confirmed it. Because if there was, J.J. Abrams wouldn't have been quite as apprehensive about signing on for The Rise of Skywalker because there was no script. He had to write the script from scratch. It's not something that he just picked up from Colin Trevorrow. He wrote the script from scratch. So if there was a grand master plan, why would he need to write the script? Surely Disney and Lucasfilm have enough writers. They got Marvel writers for the comics, for the Star Wars comics. They got Star Wars writers. They got novelists they could have tapped. They got screenwriters on payroll, left, right, and centre, popping out everywhere. They could have literally just had an entire trilogy pre-written and just said, "Hey, director, fuck off, go direct it." What do you make of Abrams' recent comments? Yeah, what do you think of this? Jesus Christ. Unbelievable. Anyway, Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker will be very, very interesting to watch. I am hotly anticipating this film just for the lols. I remember, just before we sign off, I went to the Last Jedi preview screening, midnight I think it was, in Wimbledon Odeon. Bearing in mind this is what fans do, I obviously did it for movie reviews. Then literally no one there was happy with the film. It was hilarious. So I cannot wait. I'm going to try and do the same thing for this one, because I think there was very little people there for The Last Jedi. I think this one will be even less, or it will be more, but the response will be even more funny. So anyway, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Let me know down below in the comments. If you're new here, make sure you hit subscribe. Stay tuned for my cheap Subaru WRX build video dropping today, if you like cars. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I've been Mr. H. Take care.